found out that oil, spilled oil in the ocean, the bad part of the spilled oil would pass through the wax molecule of the bead, of the Melipona. So I invented this stuff that cleaned up the Valdez oil spill. Somebody probably remembers that. And that was with beeswax. Well, for many years, we developed a company, developed a slew of products, Bioboom, Biosoft, Polysort, Microsort, PRP, Oil Buster, Well Booms, Easy Clean. My patent ran out about 2 years ago. When my patent ran out, we started getting competition. So, as I was realizing that that patent is gone, I'm probably out of business, I started looking for a better wax. And I found it. I found it in this little bead, and you can see it under a microscope back there, called the Melipona. Some of you may know about the Melipona. It's called a stingless bead. And it's technically not stingless. It does have a stinger, but they are stunted stingers because this magnificent little animal has developed a method of protection by using its wings and producing infrasound and ultrasound to chase away all predators. It doesn't need a sting on it. It doesn't need to sting, and it's not aggressive. It's not like our Melipona. And of course, you have milder Melipona, but you have some aggressive, the Africanized bees. But these little sweeties are magnificent. Well, I spent, Joy and I spent just about a year traversing the jungles of Borneo, all over Malaysia, China, looking for these little things. I was tasked with identifying and literally starting a new business, Melipona culture in Southeast Asia. I was tasked to do that. Our company, Joy's company, were tasked to do that. So part of what I did was to examine all known, there are probably more, all known 66 species of the Melipona that are resident and endemic in Southeast Asia. I identified 3 species. The one that we work with now is called Leviceps, and it's also called Pitama. It's the smallest one. And we have our minima. Pitama is the middle one, and then we have the king, which is it's a large one. Now, when I say large, I mean maybe 4 millimeters. What you see back there is maybe 0.5 centimeters. Very, very small. So we have a display set up back there. Please take a second and go look at this thing, okay? And there are eggs back there. The way these things lay their eggs, I provided Doug and Mary with information, and there's information here. Let's start there, but there's so much here that I brought with me. I'm not going to be able to cover everything today. Just let me tell you this much. The research that we did over in Malaysia led to my development of a new species of bee food. Now, when I call it bee food, the reason we call it bee food is it is the same size as pollen grains. I've worked out as a NASA scientist for over 35 years. And part of what I did at NASA is microencapsulation on projects STS-41, STS-43. On those missions, we developed the material and the microencapsulation technology used to develop the Bioboom, Biosoft, Polysort using the beeswax. Now, you know that history. But this little animal produces a substance called propolis. We all know what propolis is, right? Okay, well, propolis is a monoterpene. This bees, our Melipona, are monoterpenes, trace element of triterpene. This little guy here, this little gal here, produces a triterpene that is so dense and so powerful that it cleans oil 3 times faster than the stuff that I did before. 3 times faster. So put one little drop of that stuff, oil, gone, absolutely gone. And the beauty of it is it remains in the environment and it becomes fodder for ecotypes, for the fish, and for everything that lives in the water eats this produce. Just miraculous, miraculous stuff. Okay. Does it go like this too? Yeah. Now, Joy and I took a picture of this little lady, and you can get an idea of how small it is just by, comparing it to the size of those flowers. They're very, very small. We were in, I think, Dungun or someplace. Dungun, or where were we?
Yeah, that one picture was taken in Dungun.
Yeah. But, what a place that was.
That's in Malaysia.
It's in Malaysia, yeah. I wrote a paper on it. The paper is available if you just, if you Google my name, all this stuff will come up. This is the Itama tree. Trigonia? Actually, it's Trigonia lona, but we call it Trigona. So this is, I don't know, this over there. But, yeah, that's what they look like. And I just want to walk you through. You can get this online and read it. It's real good information. Most people don't know that there is such a thing as a stingless bee. Most people don't know. They have no concept. Okay, we have my friend Bob Cole here. We have a friend named David Rubik. Dr. David Rubik. Rubik works with the beechii, Melipona beechii, man's oldest known honeybee. I've got a link on here that you should go and read it, and I'll make all this stuff available to you and to Mary to dispense to the group. But that is man's oldest honeybee. Predates the Egyptians, predates the Moche, predates the Incas, and most people don't know it exists. It's going extinct now, but we have a cure for that. We have free food that we're going to deliver with drones. So this is how far we've come in the research, which gets me back to, we finished our research there, our research results were successful. We came back to the United States to duplicate our studies in Malaysia, and guess what? I couldn't get any bees until I met that guy in the corner, and he got me the bees. So we have, since I took delivery of these bees from Mark, been feeding them this new bee food. Now guess what we have? We have not only the Melipona producing designer honey, we now have the Mellifera producing designer honey. So these species, although they're completely divergent and on other sides of the world, and their genetic makeup is completely opposite, they produce honey the same way, and they metabolize the same way. It's just absolutely amazing. But that's a whole other story. I'm going to make sure everybody gets a copy of this. I just want you to see a few of these pictures. While we were there, we developed this new substance, and we developed a family of new products using the material that was produced by the Melipona over there. So, and the material, it became part of, in that culture, they're a sea culture. All their food, everything is based on what they can get from the sea. The resources in the jungle are pretty limited, other than fruit. There's not a lot of cattle. So, but there's a lot of sea, a lot of ocean. So what we were able to do was to take and spin off the products that we developed through research in Malaysia into these, they call carapace. But all this stuff is in the paper. And what we did, we were feeding the bees microencapsulated stevia. I don't know if anyone knows what stevia is. Stevia is this miraculous compound that cures cancer. I'm not the guy who says it, FDA says it. Cures cancer, prevents atherosclerosis, stops premature senility, just does all these great things for us, and we eat sugar. Well, guess what? We have bees that are producing honey. We have stevia honey. And we have bees that are producing honey with ginseng in it. So we have a bunch of stuff back there on the table. And
much, much further, we're even producing scented bee food. In other words, flavored bee food. If you want your bees to produce great, well, we have this new product that we'll sell to you. You sprinkle this in, you sprinkle it. It's not like a bee cake, and it's real easy for the bees to eat. And I'm going to show you these videos. It's hard for me not to become animated and excited when I talk about this, because once you see it, you're going to go, wow. That's what I did. Anyhow, let me continue. I wish we had a lot more time, and I just wanted to get to the salient things. This is the stevia farm that we had in, trying to remember the names. I don't, Dungun, Boom Kun, or where's this other one?
Bukit Core.
Bukit Core, that's right. Yeah. You have to say it a certain way or you offend her. You don't put the she can't say it, so they always got mad at her. And this is what the inside of one of the hives looked like. One of the hives. And I mentioned earlier, of the 66 known species, we identified 3 to domesticate. And of the 3, yes?
I know that a lot of American Melipona is business.
Yes.
Is this the same species?
Same species, the same family.
And it's around.
Different species, same family. What we work with in South America is chiefly BGI, and there are some forms of tetragonula there. But my studies, I haven't concentrated on that part of the world yet. But this is essentially the same. It's a tropical bee. They can't live above a certain parallel. So, in fact, I have a friend who's a very well-known guy here. In fact, that's Dr. Tarpey. Made an application with the state to get a permit to conduct a study. And they say, okay, Joe, we got your state, you're looking for stingless bees here. You're not going to find it. I said, how do you know? Show me where someone has written a paper where they have spent so much time, covered this area. How do you know? How do you know out there on one of those barrier islands there's not a Melipona? Or it flew off the ship? I don't believe that the Melipona is not here, because we have a salt bee here. And this is the cousin of the salt bee. So if we've got a salt bee, someplace there's a Melipona. They just haven't been found. Someplace there's a stingless bee. I'm sure. Anyhow, this is what the inside of the hive looks like. And it's real interesting about the 3 species I was telling you about. The 2 larger species, the queen lays the egg completely different from the little guy, the Itamu, the Leviceps, and Trigonuloma, because they're bigger. And they can move their abdomen, and they have a depositor. Okay, this little guy back here doesn't have a depositor, so they have to deposit their eggs this way. They have to deposit their eggs. Where is that? They have to deposit their eggs in semicircles and in rings. Unlike the larger species, the ovipositor can go like this in their abdomen. This little guy can't do it. So they build egg plots, and they hang them like grapes. The darndest thing you ever saw. I mean, no, when the first time I ever saw one, I'm like, this is fantastic. I had no idea that this existed. Now, in the last 7 or 8 years, you've had a lot of guys come forward in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, because the Melipona culture in that region is in its infancy. I did a comprehensive 4-month study, and what I found out, the people don't know anything about it, even the native Malays. They call them Duga Malay. They don't know, but they don't know they don't know what they're called. But we've worked to educate them. This is one of the places that we went, Join Island. And very nice guys. And they called the beehive there a Kelelu, which means hill of bees. Yeah. And these were very nice guys, very nice farmers. We went there. Actually, we were there at the request of the Department of Health, because the
people were having problems with mold and infestation. And the reason for that, there was cross-contamination because they put their beehives next to the goat pens. And guess what? Air comes, there you go. There it all comes, the spores, everything, poison in your honey, poison in your beehives. But we fixed it up. But we were there, they treated us very nice. And here's a good picture of some pictures of Joy and I tasting the honey right out of the hive, and it's really a treat.
Yeah,
to
the
do
little
that.
pods. They're honey. They're
Yeah.
yeah, like little honey pots.
Yeah, they don't make comb. They make honey pots, little pots. They look like, Winnie the Pooh honey pot. That's it. It's the darndest thing you ever saw. But you could put a straw down in it, and the kids do that, the farmer kids, and that's how they get their honey. But this was in Beekeepers, which was about 70, 80 miles south of Terengganu, where I had my office at the university. I was.
It's in the northeast peninsular Malaysia.
Where I was at University of Malaysia, Terengganu, I was the principal research associate,
Principal research fellow.
principal research fellow in the
At the-
Institute of Marine Biotechnology. But this is covered under one of the institutes there. And this was my study fellow at UNT, which has been pretty nice. And Joy and I were just talking today how much we miss our bees, because they get to know you, and they're not. And our mellifera here, honest to God, we don't even put on bee gear. We don't even put on a bee gear, because every time we come out, we're taking bee food, and they love the bee food. As soon as I put it down, we're almost running out of time. We're fine. Okay. I'm excited. This is just what the Callaloo looks like. And essentially, the bees build their hive inside of a hollow tree. Like if guys and girls been out hunting, you see a tree that's diseased in the jungle, there's something living in it. It might be Melipona, it might be bats, you just don't know. It might be spiders, but something's living in that hole. So, this is our Callaloo colony at University of Malaysia. It's nice. New uses for the products. We're at propolis, where I told you about, we're making oil spill cleanup technology. We're making designer honey. We're making scented honey. We're making scratch and sniff labels for the latest technology in scratch and sniff. We have samples of it back there. You know enough. And guess what? All this stuff, non-GMO, 100% FDA approved, edible. And if you were stuck somewhere and you had no food, eat that, you live. 22% available protein, 19% fat. That's like eating a steak. Better than steak, no cholesterol. So I'm real big on this use of the material. We can put this stuff on too, right? Yeah. You go to the, you want to go off to the, hold on a second, let me find you. Yeah, I'll tell you what, click off that one. Now let me show the folks a video. Which video did we want to see, Joy?
The November 30th.
Okay.
I believe that was the one we determined that had more interaction of the Melipona with the.
Yeah, go to Mel. Go down to the video links. What's his video links? Video links where it's called. Oh wait, no. Go Taylor. Go. Let us have the video report. Sorry, folks. There you go. Right there. Click that one. What was it, Joy? The 30th.
Yes.
Scroll down. Scroll down. Yeah, you want to go to last day of November. Okay. And turn, does it have volume?
That was during the monsoon season, too, when they have virtually low to no pollination
One of the things reasons we developed
opportunity.
bee food is, bee starvation's a real problem here with our beekeepers in the winter. It's a real problem. First of all, how can you get them water? people say, we do wanna give them water during the winter. That's not true. You do wanna give them water. It's how you deliver the water. Well, we make a bee food that has an aqua component in it. It doesn't freeze. It doesn't freeze because we've adjusted the sugar content of that water, of that liquid, so they can't freeze. Well, they can freeze if it goes to minus, I think they said minus 18. But if it goes to minus 18, you're losing a whole lot, so not to worry about it. But you can eat that stuff too. Okay. This one has aeration in it, and this is one of our experimental hives we were at the golf course then, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We had a facility at the local golf course there, and we had an experimental color loop there. And we would go out every 2 or 3 days and take them some of this material and literally spoon feed them the top. Yeah, just go.
The white stuff is the bee food.
Now, why we wanted you to see this one is, see that little guy right there, little gal right there? Carrying, there's a white chunk. I'll tap the screen again, you can see it move. Okay, keep in mind, they have jaws, and they also have a proboscis that they use to draw nectar. They also chew, okay? Yeah. Bottom right corner
Yeah,
here.
go to the square at the bottom of the.
Oh, right here. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, thank you. All right, so. See the little white specks all around, that's how small this stuff is, I'm starting to say. This is 20 microns. 20 microns. Your hair is 50 microns. This is 20 microns.
And that's the top of the callalute where they've got it sealed.
Yeah, this
This-
is the top of the callaloo. And what I would do, it came out every 2 or 3 days, and I would poke a hole in the top of it to look down the side.
and you can see the eggs, and I think I've got it
The
focused
egg.
enough.
That's what the egg pods look like. See how they're built in like grapes?
They look like little seeds.
I stopped there, I got some stuff. Now this one will carry that stuff down inside. And we had thieves too. Oh, and at the entrance, let me tell you, they have an entrance. The entrance that they make is called flute. And they build an entrance with the propolis, and you can predict whether or not, and the amount of rainfall you're gonna have every year in Malaysia, by the way.
During the monsoon, yeah, it's
Someone
indicative
has
of
studied
the.
that, and I found that very interesting. An old farmer, an old banana farmer who had callalutes told me, I know how much it's gonna rain, I know if it's gonna get flooded, how do you know? So my bees build a big long thing. If they build a short thing, no flood. They build a big long thing and it goes up, flood. So it's pretty interesting stuff that you learn from the natives. But you can't learn it until you get out there in the trench.
You can see where they've incorporated the bee food into the propolis too, where they're
What's that?
building the other over to the left, and you can
Yeah.
see where they're incorporating what we're giving them
Yeah.
into.
Yeah, you can see what Joy pointed out here to the left. Where I blocked with my hand. Right there on the screen, the left, top left about 11 o'clock. they're starting to build a new hive there. And they're taking the old propolis that I pull out of there, and they're building these little tunnels underneath it. And eventually a queen would move up into here. So, and you see these little ice pots here, they put their honey. I was trying to get them, instead of building honey pots, you gotta try. I mean, make it easier for us to harvest, you know? But there is a Japanese scientist who developed these cups, and they're square, and they work. They work. You drill a hole in the middle of them, but you gotta keep it, and they need bee space too, just like our Langstroth hive bee. So that's critical too. Overcrowding, they have an internal population control. If their population goes above the homeostasis, they run them off and kill them. And they have soldiers. These have soldiers that guard the hive. And that's all these soldiers do. They guard the hive. If something comes near the hive, here come the soldiers. And we once watched watched the soldiers kill a gecko. This gecko was about this long, and these bees are tiny, tiny, tiny. And the gecko comes and attacks the hive and starts trying to eat the bees. Bees swarmed it. That was it. They bit it to death. They chewed it to death. They don't have they can't sting it, and it wouldn't respond to the flight. So this is just one example of our hive over there in Malaysia. Yeah, we're finished. And we did that for what, 56 days. And when we were done with that study, we sent the honey to the National Food
The National Food Lab here in the
National
United
Food
States.
Laboratory in
Livermore,
Livermore,
California.
California, to have it tested.
The BGs, I get it. That's funny.
I have to listen to Casey's when I'm working. Yeah, this is it. Very good, yeah. These are, see how big they are? You get a chance, go back and look at the microscope. Yeah, I have a dissecting microscope up there. Yeah. Yeah. You can tell, similar to, on Altair, you can tell. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I got it here. Oh, okay. Do 1116. Do 1116. This one might have music with it. Why not? The blue cups. What I was trying to do was to get the Melipona to deposit honey in those cups, as opposed to taking the bee food down, metabolizing it, and putting it into their honey pots. So, and that's been done. The Japanese scientists, you can see them coming in and out of the hive. Pollen sacs, they have pollen sacs like our bees have. They're smaller, so, but the 20 micron fits. And I started to talk earlier about their jaws, that they can spread their jaws to a maximum of 40 microns. That's not very big. I once asked one of our world-renowned experts here, how big are the Altair? That's what I don't know. Why don't you know? Well, no one ever asked us. I said, I think we better look at that.
You can hear the Terengganu toads in the background, indicating that a big monsoon is on the way, and it's 24/7 and loud. Even with the air conditioner on inside the building, you can hear them in the jungle behind the building.
Yeah, that the frogs go into in monsoon season. These frogs, and it's deafening. The whole island sounds like that. But again, we chose to be there at that time so that we could get a pretty good idea of whether or not our bees would starve during the monsoon. They will not leave. Our our bees, we watched our bees for the last, 4 or 5 days. Our bees won't leave a hive during the rain. They won't, in storms, they won't leave a hive. Same thing with these little guys, Miguel. They won't leave the hive. They'll starve first, or start eating each other, cannibalism. So, one of the other objectives of our study was to prove, or at least to demonstrate, that this is an alternative to feeding mode and method to keep your bees alive. And it's real easy to use. There's no storage problems. It is temperature sensitive. Anything above 140 degrees, the stuff will melt. But they can still eat it when reconstitutes. So let's take a real quick look at this and then we'll wind up. You get a pretty good idea of the size of the bee group. Joy calls them the Tringono toads. Tringono toads. Yeah, and if I would have to put a little rip in the top of the covering, they're like our bees. They don't like any holes. Now, everybody comes, you know, I walk away for 15 minutes, I come back, that hole's sealed. It's sealed. But this propolis here, we're now studying, and we're using this propolis that has the high concentration of triterpene for the next generation oil spill cleanup stuff. If you go and search me out, just do a Google search on my name, you'll see the NASA video, and we were on World, the Discovery Channel, all that stuff.
Oh, the History
NASA,
Channel.
Space Shuttle, and my connection to NASA, how we developed it, how it cleans oil, and all that
We,
stuff.
we think that on the other side of that fence where the jungle is there, we think before we left that we found where there was another Melipona kellalute that
We think
they had
it does.
created in the slot of a tree,
Yeah.
and because we saw them going back there a
In this
lot.
paper that I'm writing about rogues. You know how we have rogues in our hive, and we have other bees that'll come try to raid your hive? They got them over there too.
Yeah, we wanted so badly to go and check it out, but it was swampy and
Oh.
snaky and
Every place you see cobra, place crawling.
yeah, there's a lot of cobra there.
Literally. I'm telling you, don't walk out in the yard. But my favorite bird I saw over there, they have, if you get a chance, do your Google search and look online. Malaysian beekeeper. Beautiful. It's beautiful. And you know, in our backyard every morning, I'd go chase it away. I even went, listen to this story. I even built a cage and tried to catch it with a piece of fish string.
Using my extra birthday
Your
cake, but
extra
we ended up
birthday
catching
cake,
a minor
I
bird.
Because they go after black and blue. It's what, black and blue they go after. So guess what I ended up catching? Minor bird. Minor bird. See what? They explored. That's all right. Close bird. I close. All that. I'll let you operate it. But there's so much information here, folks. What I'm going to do, and it's a little warm in the room, I'll field any questions. Let's take 5 minutes, and if there's any questions, all the information that I have on the microchip, I'll send over to Mary and send to Doug, and she'll disseminate it to everyone. And it's interesting. And if you have any questions, my email address. I'm very visible online. I'm really easy to find. And just to mention, we're members of the Caldwell County Beekeepers Club, Beekeepers Association. And I've been a member for 4 years now. I moved down here 4 years ago. You're going to love this story. We moved down here 4 years ago. I came from Pennsylvania. I'm native Pennsylvania. I worked all over the world in my service as a military contractor. We came down here to develop the next generation rocket fuel. Guess what? We did it. Unfortunately, due to the administration, our project was sequestered. But 2016 is coming, and that's going to come back to life. So, but guess what we use? Beeswax. Huh? This stuff is just rocket fuel. Burns 12 times hotter than kerosene or the ammonium nitrate and CO2 in water. So what are they doing here? Oh, they're splitting the callaloo. It's called splitting the callaloo. They're harvesting the honey out of that callaloo. This is how the natives will do it. They'll take that stuff and get the honey out of it. Nope, they let it drain. Now keep in mind, in that culture in Southeast Asia, Bob's been there, and everything's hand to mouth. There's no, oh, I'm gonna go buy 2 pounds of fish and put it in the fridge and we'll have it next week. Hands to mouth. If you wanna eat, go out there and you pick up this. And there's your breakfast. Seriously, that's just the way it is. But I will get all this information to you folks. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I put a display back there on the table, and it shows some of the things we've done. And to be honest with you, if it weren't for the generosity of Mark providing me with the bees for our next generation study, and we've hit a home run with it, Mark, I can tell you. Since we've come back, we've engaged with Jacob Traverse at Ag Biosphere. They love us. We started a new company. You guys like this. The Carolina Bee Food Company. Can you believe in the whole history of North Carolina, there's never been a Carolina Bee Food Company? There is now. Trademark. The bee food is patent pending. Patent's going to issue. The folks up in Raleigh love us. The folks at State love us. The folks at Ag love us. Who's the other folks down at the Ag Bio? And the other guys.
NCA&T?
Agricultural College.
Yeah, NCA&T.
Yeah, she knows all the names of that.
I'm native North Carolinian, so I know all of them.
But we just got our license approved. We're going to start selling our stuff. I'm not here to sell you. I don't want to. As far as I'm concerned, we like to give it away because we make the stuff cheap. Our product, our costing of our product is based on the price of the beeswax. Okay, and it depends wherever you go. You know, if someone would bring me 20 pounds of their beeswax and say, hey, make me 20 pounds of bees food, well, you'll get about 38 pounds of bees food because we're going to add water and stuff to it. And here, I'll do it for you for free. Hey. That's just the kind of guy I am. I'm not motivated. We're not here to sell you anything. We're here to tell you about our research and about where our research has gone. And it's literally taken us around the world through this little creature that God in His greatness gave us and brought me all the way back up. So
The vanilla bean orchid cannot
why don't you
create
tell
the
them about
bean
that?
unless it is pollinated by the Melipona.
Yeah, did you know you can't get a vanilla, you can't get an orchid unless it's...
To produce the bean,
yeah,
unless it has been
unless it's
pollinated by the
by
Melipona.
these Melipona. Bet you didn't know that.
That's why a lot of vanilla extract, the pure stuff, comes from Australia.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Well, there's a facility in Florida, it's called what? Southwest?
Southwest Florida Conservancy.
Okay. I've tried to connect with those people to let me bring the Melipona over here to study, because I can get all these.
Yeah, they're orchid displays. Yeah.
They won't let you do it. That's why I want to study them here. I'll bet you there's Melipona here somewhere. Yeah. I saw that. The guys, they ended up throwing them over the fence. Is that? Yeah, I saw that one too. Okay, folks, thanks so much. God bless you all. Thank you. Yeah, any questions, just,
Well, like these guys right here, they're harvesting their honey.
Yeah.
Let's tear that hide on my head.
They do.
And they just stick it back up there and the bees start making again.
In the Orient, they're very resourceful. They use everything. They'll melt the propolis down, and they'll use the honey. They'll squeeze it out of there, froth off the honey, and that honey, just like our honey, only it will ferment because it has a real high fructose content. Real high fructose. Everything comes from fruit. They don't take it from. Very rarely do you see them take it from trees. There's so much fruit and jungles and stuff. That's why the content, and it's watery. Our honey's real nice and big. That stuff's watery. And it has a higher sugar content. It will ferment, and you can't get drunk on it. Because they
spit in it first and let it sit in a big pot, and then every 2 weeks they come around, everybody has a big 40-round fire, and does bamboo dance. But it's a mess. They rebuild. Yep, they come right down.
Very, very quickly.
And look, no one's wearing any gear or anything like that. You don't need any of that.
But what encourages them to go to that hive mind? What, is there a pheromone that encourages them to go to that hive mind the first time?
They find a queen. What they do is they split the hive. They'll split the hive. And they'll take multiple, these colonies have multiple queens. Each queen has its own layer. It has its own part of the hive. So literally, that's why they split the hive. They'll take that hive and split the hive in half. They'll find one queen over here, one queen over here, take that queen there, take that queen there, and start all new hives. That's how they do it. Each guy has his own way of doing it. In Australia, they do it differently. Burma, they do it differently. And again, these are hand-to-mouth cultures. These are, we're not talking about rocket scientists here. We're talking about, we're talking
Survival, basic survival.
Survival.
Yes.
Is the Melipona in Australia?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, very big business. That's where the kids, I know the kids and his dad, we developed did you see the new bee thing? The automatic bee machine? Well, I put forth a proposal to the National Beekeepers Association down in Atlanta to do a study on it, because I've ordered 10 of them. I want to study them. If they're real, fine. If they're not, we'll sue them and shut them down. But I never had a response from them. So, but someone needs to study it, because they're making a lot of claims.
Yeah, we just put that on the back burner for the moment.
Yeah, really well.
Yeah, we're very curious to see,
Yeah.
just how far away from Mother Nature that process is, kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Okay, folks, oh, man.
Business for them down there, having raised logs and all. Is they commercial process, as they do it?
It's that, the Melipona culture is in its infancy in Southeast Asia. The people don't know about it. The natives, I'm talking about Indonesia, Chinese, they don't know about it. So part of what my task was to raise public awareness that people, natives, you could go right out in your backyard, find these logs, take them, and create a business and make money from the business, because the Chinese will buy all of this propolis and it's at a premium. They believe it has, this medicinal purpose, extra things for it. Me, I don't see any evidence of it.
Well, also, it's a Muslim culture there, and they are required by their religion to eat honey every single day.
Okay, but since you brought it up, in that culture, it's about 88% Muslim.
Yeah, they're especially in
their
Terengganu.
Quran, They
Mhm.
must eat honey 3 times a day. 3 times a day they have to eat the honey. So there's a very, very high demand for any kind of honey. My experience in Southeast Asia, Borneo has the best honey because it doesn't have any people. The people over there pollute. I hate to say it, I know, I lived it, and I'm not making it up. The kids get a candy bar or something, throw the garbage down. Parents, take the kids, have a picnic on the beach, have McDonald's or they have some kind of food, get up and eat the garbage. Don't even walk on the beach unless you got her hip boots on, needles and stuff. Yeah, we used to go to the beach, but every 3 or 4 days I had an oil spill, like a study going on. It was nothing for me to find a pelvis or tibia or fibia. I called my vice chancellor and said, Fendi, I've got a human pelvis here and a femur. What should I call the police? He said, oh no, you don't want to do that. No, you get in trouble. I said, why? I didn't do anything. He said, oh no, we have burial at sea here. Just forget about it. Don't worry about it. Just walk over. Okay. So, I stopped going to that.
Yeah,
beach.
that was one of the things that shocked me the most, because I'm used to the Outer Banks and you know,
Yeah.
Atlantic Beach. You know, I grew up around Morehead
Yeah, we don't
City,
have that in
and so
the
you
Outer
go out on the
Banks.
beach and you just walk and everything's beautiful. And there was, you know, it's set unless you were at the resort. And the resorts, of course, they would police their beaches. But I was just astounded the first day we were there, and said, let's ride down to the beach and watch the sunrise. And I said, oh, I really had to watch my step. I was just appalled. That was just foreign to me, to go out on a beach that was full of garbage. It was,
Garbage in many
yeah, it
places.
was really upsetting to me.
Let me put it to you this way, I'm glad we're back. The old NASA guy, old NASA program, I do everything that, this way, compartmentalized. This project is mission accomplished. Started with that project over there, we proved what we needed to prove there and demonstrated it, and we brought it back home here to